Yeah, yeah. We need to press record buttons when we want to record something. So again, so again, I'm Larry Thomas, your host, pastor of New You Church. I'm joined by Shaunte and Nevaeh. These are two young ladies who are leaders in our youth ministry, New You Youth Movement. This past Sunday, we hung out with Faith Works Fellowship Ministries in St. Louis, and we preached a message titled "Coming of Age." And so tonight, these ladies are joining me on our growth night to kind of do a recap of this past Sunday. I promised them that I'm not going to keep them too long. So let me tell you right quick what the rundown is. We have three segments that we're going to be talking about. Three. We're going to be talking about important versus urgent. We're going to talk about ain't no future in your fronting. And we're also going to talk about seeds and the growth process. So the first question I have is for Shaunte. You ready?
Yeah,
You sure? I think
yeah.
your screen is locked. So my question is this. Well, let me state this first. Um, we used Paul's writings in Ephesians chapter 5, and Paul tells us, "Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise." A big part of wisdom is knowing the difference between what's urgent and what's important. So let me start with you, Shaunte. What's something urgent that tries to grab your attention every day?
Drama at school, like different kinds of issues people might have, or like even just rumors spreading around.
All right, that's real. Drama at school, and then the issues that people bring to your attention. That's a real thing. Believe it or not, it never ends, man. Drama at school, drama at work. I face the same thing day in and day out. That's real. Neve, what's something important you're learning to prioritize right now?
Maintaining my grades.
Woo.
Although there's distractions like getting to school and
Uh
waiting
huh.
through a really long line, I try to make sure I get to class on time because that's pretty important to me to make sure that I maintain my grades.
That's what's up. Off camera, you and I talked a little bit about your college aspirations, and obviously, with the career field that you're choosing, you're definitely going to want to have the best grades that you possibly can, not just to compete to get in, but also to sharpen your skills as far as studying and showing up in class at this level as well as the next level. So that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me. Um, did either of you, and either one of you can jump in on this, did either one of you feel like I was speaking directly to you on this past Sunday, or was it like, you know what, that makes sense, but I'm not necessarily struggling in that area? Did that happen for either one of you guys?
Yeah, there was I think something in the second part that did relate to me personally, and it did have I'm trying to find the right word. It did make me realize something that I was dealing with, and I was like, oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Okay, I really like that. To be quite honest with you, as a preacher, as I stated in my introduction in that message Sunday, I don't like to preach or talk at teenagers. I wanna have a dialogue with teenagers. So it actually wouldn't have bothered me if anybody in the congregation would have asked me a question on the spot, or if somebody would have made a comment on the spot. Because for me and the way that I preach, I enjoy dialogue. I don't really want to have a monologue where I'm just shouting stuff at y'all and y'all like, I don't necessarily understand that, or I don't necessarily agree with that. I enjoy the conversation. So I'm glad something got through and made you see something a little bit differently, because it affords us the opportunity tonight to have dialogue. So let me jump us into segment two, which is titled "Ain't No Future in Your Frontin'." And I realize that you guys are young ladies. I'm an old man. This statement comes from way back in the 90s, the early 90s, and Your cousin is constantly telling me how old I am. I realize I'm old. I don't need nobody to tell me I'm old. I already know that. So this comes back. This comes from a dude named MC Breed. He wrote a song called "Ain't No Future in Your Frontin'" in 19. It was released in 1991. So again, I'm going to address the question to Shaunte first, and I want to ask you this question: what do you think frontin' looks like in your generation? You mentioned school earlier with drama. Do you think some of those people are just fronting?
Yeah, it could go in both in like two different ways in a way because they like you'll have one person who is like extremely loud or arrogant and egotistical, but really they're not, and it's more of a mask to cover up their insecurities.
Mm,
Or you'll have someone who's almost vice versa, who's like unapproachable and off-putting in a way, and then it'll be it'll be like a front for something that they can also hide underneath, like
great examples. I love that. Brought a lot of clarity on that. Nevaeh, well, let me ask you this: why do you think, in particular, your generation, why do you think some of these people are fronting? Like, Shantae gave us, uh, she gave us some depth into what's happening, but like, what could be the motivators for people to even behave like this?
I feel like with that, it would go hand in hand with what Shantae said. It could be insecurities. Some people just have a lot of anger in them these days.
Hmm.
Why that is, but I feel like insecurities play a main role in why a lot of people feel and act the way that they do. Um,
That's real. That's real. This is not part of my notes, but you just know, you just said something that makes me want to press into it, makes me want to lean into it. So you stated that a lot of people are angry. I sometimes wonder if what appears to be anger is really hurt, and it's possible that they don't feel safe enough to express that they're hurt. So it's easier. It might be easier to express anger than it is to express hurt. Is that something that you guys ever think about or discuss, or even consider that a lot of people in your generation may feel let down and or hurt?
yes.
yeah. Um,
Um,
we often like do a lot of debriefing with each other anyway. Um, like we talk a lot, so we often like talk about things that we noticed or seen, and sometimes we associate like some of the behaviors with some things that they might have dealt with or are dealing with, and compare that to how their behavior is now and why they're the way that they are.
Neve, you want to jump in on that?
yes. So like she said, we talk a lot. We talk every single day. Um, when we see something that we think is out of character for someone, we typically bring it up, and we before we just assume that they're just having a bad day or they're angry, we try to think about how their attitude and how their patterns were leading up to that to try to see or find some sort of pattern with how they're acting. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but um, we typically try to find why someone's acting a certain way before just chucking it up to them being angry.
I think that's dope, and I think you are doing an excellent job of describing that and stating that because, for one, what you guys are doing in regards to debriefing and having these conversations, that is next level stuff. Um, as you guys stated, it's not necessarily to just gossip. Gossiping is not necessarily the goal of these conversations, but to accurately and appropriately discuss why a person is displaying the kind of behaviors that they're displaying is high level emotional intelligence as well as relational intelligence. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of people do not practice high level emotional or relational intelligence, which is why they have dysfunctional relationships. So good on you, ladies. I think you guys are rocking out just like I thought you would. I'm going to keep it moving so I don't waste your time. I wanted to talk to you ladies about segment three, which dealt with seeds and the growth process. Seeds and the growth process. So I didn't state this on Sunday, but I talked to teenagers, young adults, all the time. And one of the things that I typically hear from young adults, people who are like 25 to 30, they feel like they should have all of their dreams and all of their visions um, in place by 27. So not only should they have their degree by 27, but they should have the marriage, they should have the kids, they should have the corporate job, and they should actually be living in the dreams that they had as teenagers. Um, the question for you ladies is, well, the first question for you ladies is, how wise do you think it is to be putting that much pressure on yourself? And then number two, is it even realistic to expect a person to achieve everything that they want to achieve in life by 27? Either one of you can respond first.
I think that it not only is it not wise, I feel like for most people, they may want that, but I don't think it's recommended because some things that you rush may not come out the right way. Whereas if you take time to do it, you'll not only be able to see the mistakes that you make along the way, you'll be able to correct them and keep going instead of missing those mistakes and then having to go all the way back and then do it over again until you get it right.
That's what's up. I like it. I like it. Shaunte, what you think?
Um, I agree with what she said because like there's certain things that you have to do first before you even get to certain levels, especially when it comes to being in the marriage and having kids and having that kind of career because you can always try to rush something and at first it'll look fine, but then you always find like mistakes and say for instance typos for a metaphor in what you wrote, and then you'll have to go back like how she said and try to fix those mistakes, but then it also be too late for certain things like that. You also have to have a certain kind of maturity level for some of those things, and you might not be mature enough to even have half of those things by 27.
Man,
You might have a maturity level at like 35 but not 27.
man, you ladies are hitting it tonight. Y'all on it. And I totally agree with both of you. What I'm trying to get young adults to understand is that this entire thing that we call life is a process, and um, nothing like life is not lived in a linear fashion. So sometimes we're taking steps forward, but then sometimes we have to take steps backwards in order to achieve what it is that we want to achieve. And that can be difficult for people because they perceive taking steps back as failure. So for instance, let's say, you went to an out of state college and your whole dream was to earn your 4 year degree, begin to work for whatever firm, organization um, that you envisioned in your mind, And you did that. You got that accomplished by the time you were 25. But then the company laid you off, and for whatever reason, you had to move back home. Some people see that as a defeat. They see it as a loss, and they begin to feel down on themselves. And what they don't realize is the more they put themselves down, the longer they stay down. Because the fact of the matter is, everybody and anybody who's ever achieved any level of success has had to take steps backwards. Nobody continues to just move forward all the time. Take steps backwards. Sometimes we take lateral steps, whether that's quote unquote to your left or to your right. But the point is, success is a process, or life is a process. So, what we talked about in regards to seeds and the growth process, we talked about how Jesus says in John chapter 12, verse 24, that a seed has to die before it can live. And so then we mentioned that growth is a process, not a performance. That's where I think a lot of people mess up, because their life is not really about them. They make their lives, they want to, I'm going to use a hood term, they want to stunt on people. They want to show people that they were wrong about them. They want to prove people wrong. So when things go bad in their lives, or when things don't go exactly according to plan, now they feel like, people are going to talk about them. But for us, what we're trying to figure out is, have we ever, the three of us, have we ever been in a season where we felt like we were hidden, but in reality we were growing? Does that make sense? Does that question even make sense to you, ladies?
Yeah.
Okay, Neve, let me start with you. Have you ever felt like you were in a season where you were hidden, but the fact is you were actually growing and becoming? And you don't have to give us details. Trust me, you don't have to give us details.
Can you come back to me so I can have time to think?
Absolutely. Shaunte, what about you?
Okay.
A season of being hidden as you grew, or you were growing.
I could say like my early time of being in high school. That's that's a point, like the season I feel like that fits that description because um I can say that I am an entirely different person from what I was from starting high school as a freshman as now a
Yeah.
senior, and it was definitely a challenging point between the first 2 years of my high school experience compared to the last 2 years. And even though it was a tough experience, I still not only grew out of some of the habits that I had, but I also gained better ones. And I can apply those to what'll happen after I graduate.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You have grown. You have become. You are a different person today than you were 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I often think about that. I often think about uh, the work that you put in to be where you are today. And one of the things that I wondered internally but never asked you is, 3 years ago, did you see yourself being where you currently are, and being the person that you currently are? Is that something that you saw 3 years ago?
I might have saw myself as like how I am now, like an alternate um version of myself, but never. I don't think I ever really saw myself being the kind of person that I am, being more extroverted than introverted, like I was before, and being more outspoken. I always thought that I'd be more quiet still, how I was, and only stay in that kind of position because of the kind of headspace that I was in. But being who I am right now would have been an entirely mind blowing idea to my 14, 15-year-old self.
Yeah. Yep. I can imagine that. It helps when you have good friends like Neve, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. So can we come back to you? You ready? You ready?
Um, I can say the same thing that she said,
Hmm.
but even before high school, I feel like there has been points where I felt like I either wasn't doing enough
Mm.
or I wasn't doing it. I was doing it, but I wasn't doing it right. To where I felt like everything that I was doing was getting overlooked for people that were doing better than I was.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yo, thank you for that. That's very transparent of you. Um, I can totally see how that would affect you. Um, when we're giving our best efforts and it appears as though no one even notices our best efforts, that can be difficult to deal with for sure. um, I could say the person that I know today, uh, you're when I see you, you're a confident person. You know what I mean? I don't know if you just act like that at New You. I don't know, but I perceive that you're a confident person, and I know that you're highly intelligent. So you are on your way to becoming uh, the person in law that you want to be. Not exactly sure which career field you're going to take up, but I know you're going to rock out. You're going to do very well. Um, I kind of want to wrap this up because I want to keep my promise of not going over 30 minutes with you ladies. Um, we get opportunities every once in a while to travel and to minister in different environments. And Nevaeh and I were talking offline before we got on to the broadcast, and we wanted to give kudos to the squad. And Shaunte, you are a big part of the squad. Uh, we came in. We behave like professionals, people who worship God and follow through on our commitments and our jobs. Did you feel any pressure when you initially got in? Not anxiety, but like pressure to perform. Did you feel anything like that?
Not really, no. And it's more because of like I've gotten used to it. Not used like I got used to it to where like okay, I'm going to do this again for in front of these people, but I know who I'm doing it for,
Come on.
and it's not much of a bother to me as it used to be when I first started out than it is now.
Yeah, that's that growth process again. You've been at this for quite a while. You've been ministering and serving since you were a young girl, and I don't use that word professional or professionalism lightly. I am very proud of you and the work and the practice that you put in, the time that you give to all of this. So I want to thank you for being a part of this interview, but mainly I want to thank you for being a part of New You Church, being a part of the leadership of New You Church. We talk often about how we started out as a youth ministry, and we strive to recognize our teenagers, our young people, because our teenagers, we don't view teenagers as the church of the future. You guys are the church of right now. You're a leader right now. Nevaeh, you're a leader right now. Uh, your skills as far as observation and being able to synthesize information and activity that you see in the moment, that's a skill that a lot of people don't have. They may be able to see what's going on, but they're not actually observing it and putting it together with the entirety of the process. So you saw the process from the time you arrived on site to the time where we began setting things up to the time where service started, and throughout the middle portion of connecting with the congregation, preaching, and then wrapping it up in prayer. And in that conversation that you and I had offline, I'm like, this young lady is 18 years old, but she really put this whole thing together in an articulate manner. So that's good on you. Both of you ladies are helping New You Youth Movement to become what God designed us to be. So I'm gonna give y'all one last thank you, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. I appreciate both of you. I hope y'all have a great night. Y'all got any questions for me? Y'all got any statements for me? What's up? What y'all got?
No, I don't got any.
Okay. What about you, Nevaeh?
No,
No.
I'll see you Friday.
Awesome. That's what's up. I'm glad you're coming out. Hey, if y'all have any suggestions on what we need to do or what we can do, let me know. All right. Send me y'all got my email now, so hit me on email, okay?